My name is Lucia Khaled. I'm originally born in Mexico. I live here in the U.S. Growing up, we grew up very Catholic. We're traditional Catholics, going to church every Sunday. My father is a mechanic engineer, and my mom is a homemaker. Puebla, as Mexico, it's I will say almost 99% Catholic. Where I live was one of the first cities built when Cortez and Mexico was discovered by Colon and the Spaniards. That's one of the first cities that was built, and so you can find a church in every corner. And this is true. You go to the next corner, there's another church. So it's very conservative and very Catholic traditional, not Orthodox, but just Catholic, just traditional and very conservative. The Mexicans, actually, they're called Aztecs. That was the main society before the Spaniard came to America. So it was the Aztecs who lived there. They have their social life. They have their own systems of living, right? There are levels from the peasants to the kings to the governor to the priest. And they had just gods, like the gods of the rain, the god of fertility, the goddess of they have this god from corn, because corn in my country is the base of food. So when the Spaniard came, they destroyed many of the temples. They destroyed many of the things, and then they, with their weapons and disease, because they brought disease to the Aztecs. My mom is the priest is in a higher place. The priest is the one that gives you advice on what to do, what not to do. But she's very Catholic. When I convert to Islam, she actually wanted to talk to the priest, kind of to make sure I was not going to hell. I also went to Catholic school. It was not the regular school. It was just like religious school. And I just had this thing that I never liked them. I never liked the way they treated us, because they will be like extra strict. And when you have questions about the religion, like for example, where does Jesus come, or who's God, or things like that, Catholicism has a block, right? There's like a wall, and you're not allowed to ask questions. You're just allowed to believe, and that's it, which is different with Islam. It's mixed with the culture of before the pre-Catholic or the pre-Spaniard conquered, right? So there's a lot of beliefs on saints. There's a lot of still everything is left, sometimes not even to Jesus, but to the saint of the town. Or, for example, they will have different baby Jesus called different names, and then each person will pray to whomever is convenient to pray. Like, just an example, there's one saint that is called San Antonio, which single women will pray to find a husband. So, I mean, they will find there's a lot of saints, more than being focused on God and Jesus, like in Rome or in the Orthodox Catholics. It's more like a mix with gods that they used to have before, but they changed them into saints, so the population will convert to Christianity. So if they had the god of the rain, let's say, right? The Spaniards changed the name of that person and put the name of a virgin, so the people will convert to Christianity, convert to Catholicism, and come to church. I went to engineering and textile engineering, and I was there for 2 years. Between that time also I worked in a factory with one of my cousins. I was in charge of the lab. My mom told me, listen, if you're going to marry, you're going to marry forever, because I'm not going to have a divorced daughter. So until now, like, all my brothers are married for a long time. I'm married for 12 years. The culture was that you're a virgin when you're married, you go with your husband, and wherever your husband goes, you go. Whatever your husband says, you do. So that comes from more from the Aztecs and the culture than from the religion. Before I was Muslim, I didn't really know about Islam. The only thing I knew about Islam was about the news, the beatings of women in Saudi Arabia, that women in Saudi Arabia are not allowed to drive. At that time, it was around 1890s, there was a movie by Sally Field called Not Without My Daughter. And it was about this American married an Iranian. And then, he's very nice here in the U.S. He's the perfect husband. But once everybody moves to Iran, it's totally a bad thing for her. He beats her up. He treats her bad. He makes her wear the burqa. So it was that gave us that bad side of Islam. So that's what I knew about Islam. I didn't knew any Muslims. I didn't knew any person out of Mexico. One of my classmates from college had a birthday in his house, so we went. And he also worked in a factory that my husband visited from the U.S. And I think it's just destiny, or like Allah's will. I think that's what it was, because my husband was going to go somewhere else, actually. And during this time, I've seen him pray. He practiced. He is very a practicing Muslim. So the first time I saw him pray, so then I asked him, what is that you're doing? He said, well, I'm praying. I said, why are you praying? Well, I'm Muslim. And I said, what is that? So then he explained to me. And that's how I started learning more about Islam. So then he brought me books. And at this time, I learned about Islam, but I also wanted to study my own religion, because I didn't want to commit to something that I was not knowledgeable enough, and also because I didn't know enough about my own religion. I just knew what they tell you in church. So I started going to church, listening to the sermons, and reading the Bible. Then I learned there's a difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that difference is Jesus. Everything changes after Jesus is. And then I discovered that the Old Testament is actually almost the same as the Quran. They have the same characters, the same history and stories, and that made it the transition for me to believe on what Islam. The basis of Islam was easier because of that. But I caught him by surprise, because what I told him, I said, I have learned about Islam, I have read, I have compared, and I even talked to the priest in my church. I asked questions that he could not answer, that Quran answer. So I think I want to be a Muslim. And he said, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I want to be a Muslim. We were already like 6 months into a relationship. So I said, I do really like it. I do really enjoy the straight, the religion is so straightforward. There's no around, it tells you, you do this, you don't do this, and that's it. And the Catholicism is not like that. You just, they never answer you the questions. You just stay like, okay, so what is the reason for kneeling in the church? oh, you just have to kneel. That's the way it is. You don't have to ask. And in Islam, they will explain to you why you don't drink, why you have to cover, why you have to, not eat pork, right? So that's what I liked. So when I decided, I told him, and he's like, okay. So my first shahada was with him. Just me and him. I became Muslim, just like that. So we just decided to get married in Mexico. We found a mosque in Mexico City. First of all, when I decided to become Muslim, everybody thought he brainwashed her. He just told her that she's gonna have a wonderful life over there, and that's why he's marrying her. She's marrying him. Everybody mentioned that movie to me, and that's why I mentioned it, because there was no person that when I told them we were going to get married and that I had become Muslim, there was no person that didn't mention that movie to me. Don't you know that can happen to you? How you know who is he back there? What do you know if he's telling the truth? Why did he beats you and keeps you in the house and never lets you out? So all of these things will come. My cousins, we're very close, knit close family. And everybody was scared. Sometimes I had to hide from my family to pray. Sometimes I had to, in Ramadan, for example, my older brother would come in. Why Lucy's not eating? My mom was, oh, she's just not hungry. But I was fasting, right? So things like that, waking up early in the morning to pray. And all of these things there were hardships. But once I moved here and my mom came within the first year, the first thing she asked me, I want to see your marriage license. That's what she asked me. I want to see that his word is there and that, you're married, legally married. So then I show her, okay. So now it was legal for them. That was okay now. So she came to check that everything that he had offered was there, that I was a free woman to go wherever I wanted to, and that I was not beaten up, and that we were living okay. And so, yeah, it was not taken very good in the beginning, yeah. What my parents liked the most when I became Muslim, like I said, I was a party girl. I used to go parties, and I used to go with my friends and with my cousins. And when you're 18 and you're working, you're kind of paying for it yourself, you don't take account too much of what your parents are saying anymore. You're stupid. And so I think what they liked the most was the fact that everything changed once I became Muslim and I was married, because I was not going partying anymore, so I was staying in the house, and I was not drinking, and I was dedicated to my studies. So I changed. Everything changed. I was more kind to them. My mouth got a filter, because I learned that your parents, whether Muslim or not, they're your parents, and you have to respect them. So that's one thing that really struck me, that I had been so disrespectful at times with my parents. So I think that all of those things towards my family, they embraced, they liked it. So that was something positive that came from it. I definitely thought that Islam is not what the news portrayed. Muslims are not what the news portrayed or movies portrayed. They always put them as the bad guys, or the illiterate ones, the ones that don't know anything or don't speak English or run gas stations, and that's not true. And when I came to the US, I found very smart people. I found a good community. I learned that Islam is actually a peace religion, not a hateful religion, and that the God, Allah, is a good God, and it will give you so many chances before it gives you the bad point. My religion, my ex-religion wasn't like that. You do bad, that's bad. You do good, maybe it might be good. But in Islam, Allah gives you so much chances to make it up, to ask for forgiveness. So yeah, I did learn that for me, everything changed. The sky got more blue for me. I remember we went to the beach at one point when I was just convert, and then I just realized how powerful Allah is, and how wonderful He is with us. And when we were on the beach, we were looking at the sundown, and the waves were coming. They really hit me, because then I can see how blessed as human beings we are, whether we're ignorant of Islam or not. We're very blessed just by living in here, and how much Allah loves us, that with just splits of a second He can destroy everything. I think many Muslim countries and many Muslims in the US are afraid of saying who they are, what they are, and who they worship. And I think that's the problem, because when you're afraid, then you cannot stand out. I stand out. I go to, like I told you, I was a medical school, nursing school, and I went to nursing school with my hijab, with my long sleeve and my scrubs. I went into a hospital where there's no Muslims. There's only, it's like more like a country hospital. So there's no Muslims in my class. I'm the only Muslim. And it was very easy for me just to take off my hijab and just go to school and just be as everybody else. But for me, this is dawah. Just the fact of wearing my hijab is dawah. Or I will say, we are very easy to be judged. You're not praying like that. Oh, sister, you cannot wear jeans in the masjid. Sister, your hijab is wrong. When you start judging, then you divide. Those are the pictures that they have. We need to come out. Muslims need to come out of the safety of the Muslim community and go to a non-Muslim community and spread the word without preaching. Because you cannot come and tell somebody, oh, my religion is the best. Well, just by telling me that your religion is the best, you're wrong, because you're being arrogant. So you're showing arrogance already before you're even giving your dawah. So how you give dawah? By example. That's how the Prophet did it, just by example. And you don't make people say things or do things. Like when people come to my house, I have non-Muslim friends. They come to my house and they tell me, Lucy, should I cover my head? Should I, wear something special? I said, no, you just come, you as you, and then they learn, that you are not what they see in the news or they hear about. You're just a normal person, just like everybody else. So what I will say to people that are in Ramadan and you're getting to that point where your fast is so hard and you're so thirsty, just think of the blessings that fasting brings. Feel blessed that you're fasting, because that's something that is going to count on the day of judgment. Enjoy the beginning of your fast, and enjoy the end of your fast, and give to other people, because I believe that when you give to other people, when they come to it with you, the blessing is bigger. So I know that in the Muslim countries, it's a big deal, Ramadan, right? And then just enjoy enjoy Ramadan. You know, it's the best time of the year, and I wish I wish me living in America, I wish we could have the same way of parties that, you know, the special time that it is in Muslim countries. We don't have that. Our neighbors are not Muslims, so we don't go house to eat sweets and chat with people and, you know, do all of those fun things. We don't do it. Eid day, if it falls on weekday, after the prayer, if you get to go to the prayer, then you have to go to work. In a Muslim country, it's off. It's vacation. It's just to have fun, go and eat and do whatever you want to do. For us, it's not. Kids going back to school right after the prayer. You know, it's not. Sometimes it's not a fun day. It's not a fun thing. So we don't get to hear the salah, you know, hear the adhan every day. We don't get to do all of those things. So it'll be awesome for us to do something like that. For me, I have never experienced that in another country, so that will be nice. So enjoy Ramadan, enjoy Eid, and eat and make a lot of dua.